And I thought, no way, no way.
Yeah.
Uh, if you really are communicating with me, turn your light back on. And it turned its light back on.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, this cannot be.
If you like today's content, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell below. And also, have you seen a UFO? If so, please type UFO down in the comments and enjoy this episode of Coffee and UFOs.
Wait, can you? I can't see it. What does it say?
Maker's Mark.
Oh,
I do live in Kentucky.
that's true. You have to represent. Yeah. What's the ratio of coffee to Maker's Mark?
Well,
No coffee.
yeah, no coffee. Well, we put it in our coffee.
Well, welcome everyone to another edition of Coffee and UFOs. Today, my guest is, I don't even like to say guest when we're doing this because it just feels so much more casual than doing an actual show. But hanging out with me is Maria Wilson Duff. She is the Louisiana Assistant State Director for MUFON. Hello, Maria. Welcome. Cheers.
Welcome.
With your Maker's Mark cup. Nice.
Or thank you, I should say.
Well, thank you. Thank you for doing this. Yeah. So Maria is a KGRA supporter and listener and regular in the chat room as well. So I wanted to have her on because, I appreciate her perspective, especially everybody who supports the KGRA program and platform. So I guess I'll just go to the first question, Maria, which is, have you seen a UFO?
I have seen a UFO. I've seen several. I think the first one I saw, I was probably 10 or 11 years old, and I was at summer camp, and there was a meeting going on, and I was supposed to be watching it. And I kept looking out to the left, and I could see a light in the sky that was doing a zigzag back and forth. And airplanes don't do that. They don't do the swirlies or anything like that. So that got my attention. That went on for about 10 minutes. I think the next one that I saw, I was driving down the road and I looked through the windshield and I could see a red light in front of me. And then I paid attention to the road, and then I happened to notice it was gone. But when I looked to the right, it was over where I could see it out the passenger side window. So then I just didn't look at it anymore, and I didn't see it anymore. I think the next one that I had witnessed was actually two. Was walking out of my neighbor's house on New Year's Eve coming home. My husband and I were walking across the yard, and to the west was a green light, and to the east was a orange light. Mm-hmm. And kind of like they were doing a face-off, and they just sat there. And I wanted to see what they did, but my husband kind of freaked out, and he's like, "No, we're going home. We're going inside."
You got that feeling, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of done. But then I think the one that left the biggest impression on me was driving home from work. There's a driving thing going on here. I don't, outside. Imagine that. You got to look outside to see things. Mm-hmm. But I thought an airplane was coming in to land at the Bowling Green Airport because it had a bright light on it. And I thought, that's odd for it to turn its landing lights on this far back. Right. And I was like, so if you're an airplane, why do you have your lights on this soon? Well, turn its lights off. And I thought, no way, no way.
Yeah.
If you really are communicating with me, turn your light back on. And it turned its light back on.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, this cannot be real.
That is odd. Yeah.
This cannot be real. And I was like, just turn your light off. And it did. And then it completely changed its southwest direction and went north. And then I never saw it again.
Wow. You know what? There's so many people out there who report that either they had that ability or it just happens that somehow or another they can speak to these things. What was the time frame between these three events?
Probably about 10 years.
10 years each, or within 10 years?
Within 10 years.
Within 10 years.
Yes.
Okay, I see. Now you're a MUFON assistant director of your state, so I'm curious to get your take on. I kind of feel like every 10 to 12 years, there's some sort of big UFO event,
Right.
um, and I think that the Stephenville UFO is really the biggest one that
Yes.
that was most prominent, and I number of eyewitnesses and sort of undeniable event. And so now we're going on 11 years. Do you think I'm like way off the mark, or do you think that there might be some sort of pattern for these emergences of events?
I don't know, but because you look at our solar pattern,
Hmm.
you have an 11-year pattern with that. So, but
Oh
there
yeah,
is
yeah.
activity in between there, and so you never know, are those two connected? I don't know if I've ever even paid attention to that before.
Hmm.
We are right now in our solar minimum, so we're
Interesting.
going to go up now.
See, now that would be crazy if
Hmm.
those two things went hand in hand. So I guess I'm kind of hoping that this year there'll be a big event so I can
We'll
validate
see.
my theory.
We will see.
Right?
But
Yeah.
I know we have great auroras even during a solar minimum, and that's just
Yeah.
because the solar wind will kick up.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Anything can happen.
You know, you I had not shared this story before. There was one time I was on a bus, but it was kind of cloudy outside, and I saw these lights, and I did kind of what you did. I was like, if you are whatever, um, appear again, and then like a light appeared,
Mhm.
but there were clouds in the sky, so I was like, is this just a strange coincidence, or did I
Right.
actually call on something? But when you had your event, was it a clear night?
Very clear.
Okay,
It
that
was
makes all
very
the difference.
clear.
Yeah, and the aerial phenomena itself, I'm assuming it clearly, like you said, it did. The first one did swirly, uh,
Hmm.
which basically you're saying that it went anti whatever aeronautical physics
Right.
we're familiar with.
Right. It couldn't have been a satellite. It couldn't have been an airplane. It couldn't have been a helicopter.
Hmm.
I mean, they just don't make those movements. They can make those movements,
Sure.
but they don't, not that far away. And all of my sightings have basically been lights in the sky, which is what a lot gets reported to MUFON. Now, we do have experiencers that report things that happen years after their experience, but
Right.
it's hard to come forward.
Um, but I mean, you're comfortable with it. Has it affected you in your personal life at all? I mean, sharing your interests, being involved with the public organization.
It doesn't bother me.
Mhm.
This is something, and it's just really odd. I've never, at any time, never believed in the odd things that happen. It's like I was brought up to believe it, not
Mhm.
because anybody taught me to believe in it. It's just something that I always knew.
Right. Right. All right. So, have you seen a cryptid or ghost?
I don't ever want to see a cryptid. I kind of think I did one time right down by the creek on my property, but I'm not going there with that one. I'm going to ignore it because it didn't see me, and that made me very happy.
Right.
But ghosts I have seen. That is my first love, is paranormal investigating.
Man.
It is the most exciting thing to interact with spirits you can't see,
Hmm.
spirits that you can see. And then the best part about it is that when a family calls you and they need help, that you can help them.
Yeah, but listening to the show, Paranormal Now, we have guests on that always, often say, I can see these things, I can communicate with them, I can feel them. Um, but from where I'm standing, those are just words that someone is saying. How
Right.
believable is it for you? And like, I mean, is it, are there that many people out there that have that ability?
There really are, but they don't realize that they have that ability.
Hmm.
There's a lot of things that go on that you don't realize that's paranormal. You just kind of blow it off.
Okay.
We're so used to noise during the day, but at night that's when you hear everything.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
that's true. Your senses are more keen.
and that's why we do a lot of investigating at night,
Yeah.
because the world settles down somewhat here
Mhm.
in Kentucky. Anyways, I don't know about where you live, but it
It
settles
settles a little
down.
bit.
Yeah. But you do pick up on more things.
Yeah.
But then you're also investigating to make sure that that's not a mouse running around in the attic that you're hearing, or in between the walls.
Right.
You do learn how to know what you're listening
Do you-
to.
Maria, do you have a black cat?
I have a black and white cat.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Because I saw the eyes glowing in the background, and I just saw a black shadowy figure and then glowing
Oh,
eyes.
actually, oh no, here he is. He's a very dark gray kitty cat.
Okay. Okay. Well, that was perfectly. Oh, look at you. Hey, buddy.
Yeah, he's a hoss.
Um. Oh yeah. I wish Maya was here, but she's not. Um. But
He
yeah.
was actually one that God sent to me, and I always tell this story. My husband got a tractor delivered on my birthday, then laughed about it. He said all husbands should get presents on their wife's birthday. So a storm came that evening, and sitting on my door was this guy
Oh my goodness.
wanting in. So my husband never made fun of that on anymore.
He didn't want to invoke future visitors.
He didn't want any more
Yeah,
cats.
yeah, yeah. Oh, I had someone in my family that they really were convinced that God was sending them cats, and there were lots of cats indoor and out. Of course, they seemed to just omit the fact that they left food outside all the time. So I'm
Oh
not sure
yeah.
how much of it was God's work,
Whoops.
right? Well, they were convinced.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, what do you think the future of ufology is, and what do you think needs to change in our investigation approaches of investigation?
I know MUFON right now is going more towards ex-military
Mm-hmm.
for their field investigators if they can, just simply because if you're more involved with military, who better to look up in the sky and go, oh no, that's an airplane. They're great eyewitnesses on that
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know. I think it's all going to go more towards the scientific part
Mm-hmm.
of all investigating. And Chase Kletsky is awesome. I love her.
Mm-hmm.
We are really good friends, and she's my biggest cheerleader as far as investigating. But she really pounds in the fact it's forensics,
Right.
it's boots on the ground, it's being smart, and it's
Mm-hmm.
taking the evidence exactly like you're working a criminal case.
Sure.
This is evidence we absolutely have to have for scientific proof. And whether it deals with UFOs, cryptoids, you get slimed, Slimer comes through your house, pick up
Mm-hmm.
that ectoplasma,
Yeah.
collect it, send it to a lab. Let's find out what this stuff is.
Right. So I guess having people a part of MUFON investigation teams being military, that makes them a little bit more precise in their logistics and their discipline. Is that what it is?
Yes, yes, it
Okay.
is.
So
It always helps.
what if you're just someone who's passionate about it and you want to participate in the actual investigations and support the community without creating your own club,
Right. I mean, you can join MUFON. We'd be tickled to have you there. I am the assistant state director for Louisiana, and we desperately, desperately need field investigators.
Okay.
We've got a lot of people, and lives take over. We understand.
Yeah.
At any time that you are an active investigator and you need to take a break, by all means, we completely understand. But please join MUFON if you have that want to learn how to be a field investigator.
All right.
There's books, there's classes, there's everything, and somebody will always be willing to help you learn and advance forward.
So that includes all of you out there. If you're really interested, Maria just gave you the go-ahead. So what would someone do? Go to the MUFON website and just look up their local chapter?
Yes, and it's MUFON.com.
Mm-hmm.
And join. And you can always get just emails from MUFON without joining. But if you want to advance further in it, if you want to get in there and be part of the teams, come right on.
Yeah. I've got my MUFON here.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I have like a pile of MUFON magazines right here. And
I've got my state director's manual over there, but
yeah, I mean, you know, for someone like myself, I'm really busy, and New York City is kind of a tricky place. But I'm sure, I guess I'm surprised that you need more investigators. I would have assumed that there, you know, there's like a whole bunch of people out there that are just, you know, chomping at the bit to investigate.
Well, I kind of think they probably don't realize. I mean, I did it.
Mm-hmm.
I've never investigated UFOs, never had a clue how to begin, and then I found MUFON.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, I also had the honor of being on CAG, their team, which is the Case Assistance Group. And that there's several states that if they have a lot of sightings and they don't have enough field investigators, they'll ask another CAG member
Mm-hmm.
to help work that case. So I've had the pleasure of working with several different states, even internationally.
Gotcha. Okay, so it is Halloween, and I thank you so much for hanging out with me, Maria. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. I had a blast.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So is there anything that you want to share? Do you do any events or anything in your community?
Not right now. I'm trying to I've got to get people organized to get that done. So I need help in Louisiana. Help me.
All right. You hear that, y'all?
Yeah.
Do you have a contact information?
My email address is md42210@windstream.net. Or you can find me on Facebook, and my name in Facebook is Maria Wilson Duff.
All right, perfect.
Or find me in KGRA chat.
Yeah, hello, totally.
Hello, my name is totally on there.
And it's not Maker's Mark, by the way.
It could be.
It could be. Yeah, wait till you see Maria's GIFs. So.
Oh, no, maybe we don't need to.
Well, I know your GIFs are much more tame than some of the other people out there.
This is true.
They will remain nameless. All right.
He
Cheers,
knows who
Maria.
he is. Cheers.
Thanks again, and please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell below. Leave your comment, UFO, if you've seen a UFO. And have you seen a cryptid? Have you seen anything of high strangeness? I'd love to hear what you have to say.